Today is a great day to be done with self sacrificing, self deprecating actions that fail to demonstrate self love and understanding what it means to be loved. Now, if you agree with me, I invite you to stay with me a little longer because here's what I know: quotes, affirmations, and journaling are great tools to shift mindset. And in today's mindful moment, creative storytelling meets TEDx, however you want to describe this experience, I let you in on how journaling helped me to realize that I was wasting my time and my love. So let's begin with that quote. Make sure you are reaching for someone who is reaching back. Hmm. Now, I can't take credit for those amazing words. They're actually coming from the very wonderful Tracy Allen. But I have three things that I want you to remember. Number one, you completely control your actions. Number two, you completely control your reactions. And number three, act in spaces where you are appreciated and those acts are reciprocated. My name is Maya D, and I'm a dancer by trade. I'm a storyteller by trade, and I do it most often through dance. And in more recent times, I've been doing it through writing, most of which is coming in the format of my journaling because journaling helps. It helps, yeah. It encourages. I think I like that word better. It encourages both creativity and self reflection. I started this process as a child because my mother told me that I needed to go and write my feelings out before we had a conversation. And while she didn't phrase it that nicely, the end result, the impact was the impact, which was better communication between the two of us because I had that time to process my feelings. Another wonderful benefit of journaling. So I want to share one of not my childhood reflections, but one of my adulthood reflections with you right now. Feel free to go ahead and get cozy. So if you're watching this on the replay, this is a great time to press stop and go and get cozy. Or if you are just watching it in your regular day, finish out your activity and let me be the sound, the story in the background. Either way, I encourage you to ask questions because sharing is caring, is the intention behind this experience. So, as I share my lived experience, my knowledge with you, ideally it inspires you to ask a question or to share something. And through that exchange, we both get better. Yeah. So, as we jump in, I want you to remember that these reflections are pulled from journal entries. So, they're not elaborate works of art, but an intention to share insight into how journaling has illuminated certain parts of me. And yeah, that's it. It's an intention to share. So, here we go. I wiggled my toes over and over again, but for some reason it wouldn't work. I still couldn't feel the ground. Some years ago, I read somewhere that when you wiggled your toes, it sent feedback up through your body that would help you ground yourself, bringing you into the present moment. But for whatever reason, it wasn't working. I felt like one of those mylar balloons that you see floating in the air. Not only did my body feel suspended, but it felt like my heart was just floating around in the center of my chest. I'm not quite sure if you can measure the space between two people's hearts, but because of this experience, I better understand the saying, home is where the heart is. My physical body was in Indiana, but all of my loved ones were still in Maryland. My mind floated between the two spaces. Reminder number one, you completely control your actions. Because I journal, I am clear that my actions are what led me to that point, that suspension point. And I take complete ownership of mine, the good actions and the bad actions. Looking back, I would classify those earlier versions of myself as a tainted, hopeless romantic. I'm going to say that again. A tainted, hopeless romantic. Blinded by my own pain, I frantically reached out for the thing that I should have been reaching in for, which was my peace. In the absence of peace, I created a tumultuous romantic relationship, a relationship that was strained way before I left Maryland. But discussions when I got to Indiana made me feel like they were going to join me and meet me in Indiana. Our combined actions had actually created this long distance relationship between both our bodies and our hearts. The feeling of suspension wouldn't go away no matter how much I wiggled my toes. And I couldn't get rid of that void. There's a reason that the terms peace and love fit so nicely together. Interesting enough, sidebar, that was my dad's nickname. There's a reason why those terms fit so nice together. And I found myself asking myself in my journals, do you love yourself? Does this feel loving? What does it look and feel? What does it look like to feel loved? Reminder number 2, you completely control your reactions. My heart wanted peace, the kind of peace that allowed me to have a full night's sleep. But rather than sleep, I found myself both tired and restless. I suffered from some type of mental fatigue due to stretching my mind to reach to a conclusion that would get him closer to me so that I could sleep. Hmm. My reaction or my actions during these sleepless nights were nightly glasses of red wine and morning headaches. I'd sacrificed my credit score a long time ago to afford him the trinkets that I thought would give him happiness and help him feel love. So, insertion right here. This is video 29, and I talk a little bit about this in the video 28. So, I'll link that one below so that you can check that out. My fatigued mind continued to search for employment opportunities so that he could be near me and that I could feel loved. I didn't. I found myself praying for text and begging for phone calls, neither of which came. As the months passed and his arrival just kept being delayed and delayed and delayed, it became clear that for whatever reason, he was not reaching for me. In my most innocently and unloving way, I tied my peace to a human who had no desire to be physically, emotionally with me. And because of that, I needed to change. Life happens to us. No, does it happen to us? We like to say that life happens to us, but can, we are the orchestrators of our actions, right? So is it to us or is it for us? Number 3, act in spaces where you are appreciated and those actions are reciprocated. Years ago, I decided to take an active role in my life and successfully had done it because I could see it in the pages of my journals. I could see that I'd taken these actions to have this more fulfilling life. But I could also see in the pages of my journals that within that last couple of months, I had fallen off. So, what to do now? How do I get back to that space? I began to dive deeper into understanding myself. And one of the things that was illuminated is that I became a parent before I became an adult. And I spent a great deal of time focusing on parenting, and I forgot to focus on myself. So this is something, a reoccurring thing that I come to and have to remind myself to consciously work against, to come away from, to work differently. Because when you're parenting, you don't always feel appreciated, right? You've got little ones and they don't necessarily know how to appreciate how you like to be appreciated. So you continue to do even though you don't feel appreciated. You build up that habit of doing the thing for someone that can't necessarily show you appreciation. And I had to remember that, right? Like I've done this thing before, but this adult life with this adult man was a different thing. With that moment of reflection, I could give myself some grace and clarity. I offer my parenting experience here to explain why it took me some time to recognize that imbalance in my romantic relationship. He and I went through several degrees of separation, and with each, I decided to dig a little deeper into myself, right? So, going back into the journaling, listing out things that make me happy, things that make me feel love. How can I do those things for myself? And remembering that I have to do those things for myself. I gradually began to feel the ground beneath my feet and my heart securely in the center, or not, where your heart is, but feeling it secure in my chest, right? There will be times where your giving cannot be honored in that moment. For example, with children. But when you notice a pattern, it's a good time to change your actions. So, in the wise words of Tracy Allen, make sure you're reaching for someone that is reaching back. And remember, you completely control your actions. You completely control your reactions. So, act in spaces where your actions are reciprocated. Quotes, affirmations, and journaling have been tools to help me shift my mindset. And I've included links to some journals and some of those affirmations in the details. Remember to check them out. And as a bonus, um, here's a journal prompt for you. What action makes you feel love? That's one. And the other part is, what action have you done for yourself today to show yourself that you love yourself? Yeah. Feel free to share your responses in the comments below, or just drop a book emoji so that I know that you're here with me. I hope that you've enjoyed this story time. My mother introduced me to the therapeutic power of journaling, and it's helped me navigate some really challenging times in my life. I believe that sharing is caring. And as I share these answers that I've found about myself, maybe it helps to answer a question that somebody else has, or maybe it just offers some reassurance that you're not the only one going through this. So I've committed to the sharing. This is 29 of a 30-day sharing commitment that I made because about 4 years ago, I have always journaled, but about 4 years ago, I made this shift to writing these quotes from successful, wise women in my journal, and then writing these affirmations or these reminders underneath of them. And I began to notice that the quotes in the journals were inspiring or reminding me of some experiences where I'd actually demonstrated the thing that the affirmation or the quote was speaking to. And that felt good because it was a reminder that there's so much inside of us that is beneficial to our lives, and remembering to tap in, like, yeah, you do know how to do this thing. You know how I know you know how to do it because you wrote about it. Look, it already happened, right? So pulling from that lived experience and using what you learn from that experience to help make better decisions in the present. Because I thought it was cool, this thing that I was seeing, I started a blog, right? Sharing these journal entries, edited versions of the journal entries with people. But I know that while some of us are really into reading, and that's how we learn best, some of us are also really into listening to stories, and that is how we learn best. So I encourage myself to do this 30-day challenge where I'm speaking these journal entries to those people who listening works a lot better for them. So if you found this video interesting, if you liked this video or found it interesting in any kind of way, please like this video, subscribe, and check out some of those other videos. Like I said, I'm going to use my link, that other video, like somewhere. Is it going to be like somewhere around here? You'll see the link for the video number 28. And take care. Be great. Bye-bye.